One of the most common questions we get is how to make an object in KeyShot Studio look like it's glowing. Whether you are working with a neon sign, a glowing button on a product, or a desk lamp, this project is dedicated towards teaching the various methods of creating glow effects in KeyShot Studio. All right, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the lamp project. Let's start by importing our CAD and building our scene. To import our model, let's go to File, Import, and select our 3D model. We can navigate past all of these default settings and click Import. With our object in the scene, next thing I want to do is activate GPU mode. We can come over here and select this, and if you don't see it, you can right click and make sure this is checked. Okay, perfect. This is going to speed things up a lot. Next thing I want to do is add a podium for our lamp to be on top of. If I go over to Edit, I can add these basic primitive shapes into KeyShot, and in this instance, we're going to add a cube. Now, with it imported, the Move tool is automatically activated, and this is great because what I want to do is scale this up, and this is going to scale things uniformly by clicking and dragging this middle yellow box. I'm going to scale this up to about here, and then next thing I want to do is scale this in a non-uniform way. I want this box to be more vertical. So I could just click and drag this icon, this gizmo right here, and that will increase the vertical nature of this box. Okay, great. Let's snap this to the ground. And now come over to the Scene tab and select our lamp. We can click the Move tool, and then once again, position this. Now, this looks almost perfect. I think I just nailed the move right there. But let's say you moved it up here. Now your next task would be to get this perfectly on top of the podium. You can click and drag this move tool. But what you'll find is it might be hard to fine tune this. And if you need to move things in a subtle way, what I would recommend is to just come over here and utilize this box. This will allow you to type in certain values and move things in a very subtle way. Okay, looks great. Next thing I want to do is create a camera. I can come over here and add a camera. Looks like I already had one created from a different scene. Let me just delete that. Okay, so now we have our camera created. I want to ensure that this is at a -45° increment so that we're looking directly at this angled part of the box. I could lower the inclination, and my perspective value is already where I want it to be from my previous scene, but usually the default value is at 50. That's probably what you'll find. You can see there's more distortion than what I want, and so this is why I would like to adjust this to be about 220. I could scroll my mouse wheel to zoom in and then position this scene. We'll do something just like this. What you could do is actually activate a grid within your camera tab, and this will help you center things. You can see if I select halves, my object isn't quite centered. So let's do that, save our camera, and then get rid of the grid. Before we continue building our scene, let's first address something, and that's that our podium has infinitely sharp edges. You can see by zooming in. To fix that, let's go into our Scene tab, select our object, and then navigate down to Rounded Edges. You may need to select this drop-down menu to see that. If I adjust this slider, you could see we're creating fake rounded edges, but the effect is starting to fall apart. Too high of a value in this instance will break the effect and just look unnatural. Instead, let's type in 0.075 and just create a small rounded edge. You can see the highlight is catching nicely right here. Let's return to our scene and start duplicating our objects, the podiums, the lamps. Let's start by duplicating the podium. If I select it, right click it in the tree and go to duplicate, I can now create a copy. By zooming out, I can move this over to the side and then scale it down. I actually want this podium to be less wide than the other one, and the height really doesn't matter as much because once again, we're not going to see the bottom of this scene. The distance from this top of the podium to this podium looks about right. But what I want to do next is create a camera to position this. I can go over here, add a new camera, name this top, adjust this to a -90 degree value, adjust this to a 90 degree value, and then adjust the lens settings to be orthographic. I've now created a top-down view of the scene, and this is going to help me position this podium. So let me just position this a little bit and save it. I can now select the podium, go over to the Move tool, and easily be able to adjust this to be flush with the side of this podium. I'm going to duplicate this podium and then create a third one. By positioning it similarly, I can now create a pretty compelling composition. Last thing I want to change with these podiums is I'm going to move this one slightly down, so we have a nice stair-stepped effect with heights. By jumping back into my camera, I could see that these are outside the boundary of our scene. To fix that, we can go into Image, Resolution Preset, and then choose Forward to 3. This will be a wider scene, and this will accommodate our scene very nicely. Next thing I want to do is actually zoom out to give us a little bit more room. So we could position this to something like this, save our camera. And one last thing I want to do up here in the Image tab is uncheck Lock Resolution. This is going to give me the ability to maneuver this and position this window appropriately on our computer. And if you're ever not able to just move things around like this, it's because you have Lock Resolution checked. You can see with that selected, you're not going to be able to do as much. Once you hit the boundary over here, you're not going to be able to squish this window. So I would always recommend this is unchecked and keep your lock aspect ratio checked though. Okay, so this is looking a lot more compelling. Our composition's coming along nicely. Let's just continue to position things. I want actually fewer degrees of inclination. Let's get lower to this object. And once again, let's return on the grid. I got out of position there. Perfect, let's center that. Save the camera, and we could continue to adjust the distance from the scene. This is looking perfect. Next thing we want to do is duplicate our lamp, rotate them, and then after that, we're done with the composition and we can begin with the lighting. After removing our grid within the camera tab, we can go into our scene tab, select our lamp, right-click, and duplicate it. Going into the camera tab again, we can utilize the top view that we established earlier to help us position this secondary lamp. Let's position this somewhere in the middle, go into the scene tab, click on the original lamp again, and duplicate it one more time. Let's position this in the middle, hit OK, and then remove to the camera we've already established. Next thing we need to do is obviously position these things down and rotate them. To position these lamps, we can utilize an often overlooked feature of KeyShot, and that's the Settle tool. To do this, we can go into the Scene tab, select both of these lamps, click on the Move tool, and then within the Move tool box, we can click Settle. This may take a few moments on your machine, but after it's done, you'll notice your object automatically lays on the object below it. This is incredibly convenient, and we're going to hit OK to continue. When it comes to rotating our lamp, we could continue to utilize the Move tool. We could select our object, click on the Move tool, get out of our camera in order to access this part of the gizmo and rotate our object. This is a problem because we are out of our camera and we don't know how much to rotate our object. Here's an alternative way to do this. Going back into our camera, we can utilize the object's position and rotation coordinates. For example, clicking on this object, we could see all of these coordinates down here. And if I rotate this, you could see it slowly starting to rotate on the vertical axis. Now, you could always just type in a value here, and we can quickly rotate our objects just like this. So allow me to take a few seconds to just type in values I've already established, which look great for this composition. The last contribution we'll make towards the compositional efforts will be to add a background plane. We'll go up to Edit, just like we did for the podiums, go to Add Geometry, and instead of cube, we're going to add a plane. We'll scroll with our mouse wheel, scale this up once again by clicking and dragging this middle gizmo, rotating this by holding Shift, and rotating it again, holding Shift again, to rotate it at a 45 degree. By moving it and scaling it, we can position this plane to be somewhat close to our scene, but not too far away.